Welcome back this is our second video from week 5. Our topic for week 5 is social stratification. The word stratification is the prefix strata means layers. Like you can see here in this picture, it means layer of rocks. There is stratification in this rock that was put there by many lava flows over time, and so the different layers that you see are strata. And so stratification occurs when there are many layers, and this happens in our Earth's atmosphere, this happens in the tissue in our bodies, and it also happens in the social world. Social stratification is the division of society in such a way that some people are rewarded more than others. The system of stratification used in the United States is called the social class system, and I will come back to this slide and explain it more a little later, actually probably in our next video. But you can see again that it looks like layers, that you have the upper class at the top, and then what I like to call the lower class instead of the underclass at the bottom, and all the other layers in between. So social stratification is a system that ranks entire groups of people and perpetuates unequal rewards and life chances in society. Stratification refers to systematic inequalities between groups of people that arise as intended or unintended consequences of social processes and relationships. Social mobility, which we'll get to in the next video, is movement within this system of stratification, or moving up or down within these layers. Stratification is based on 3 factors, and this is your third quiz question. And these factors are wealth, power, and prestige all together, and the special social rewards that they bring. They vary. So you could have, let's say, a lot of prestige and not a lot of wealth. Maybe you're a famous artist but never sell any of your work. Then maybe you would be someone with prestige but without wealth and power. Or maybe you're somebody who makes a really good living but doing something kind of nefarious or criminal. So you might have wealth without the prestige, and you may or may not have power. Or you could have all 3. A combination of these gives you or determines your place in the system of stratification. So there are 2 large types of systems of stratification. There are what we call open societies, and then there are closed societies. So open societies are those where there are few impediments to movement within the system of stratification. So if you're born a poor person or very low ranking person, if you're in an open society, there's nothing keeping you from moving up in the system of stratification. In a closed society, mobility is uncommon, and political and cultural norms and values dictate against it. People move up or down the class hierarchy. People do not move up or down the class hierarchy on the basis of desire, merit, or talent. So most societies are not, they lean towards an open society or they lean towards a closed society, but there are none that are completely open or completely closed. None are completely fluid or completely rigid. So there are several types or forms of stratification. some more open or closed than others, and we're going to talk about 3 here today: the estate system, the caste system, and the class system. So I'll start with the caste system. So in the caste system, mobility or movement between social classes is severely constrained. So it's mainly a closed system. And so for that reason, the different strata are rigidly fixed. You can see this picture, the pyramid type structure, like the social class system that I showed you before. This is the traditional caste system of India. However, I want to say up front that it's not really this way in India any longer. But this is the traditional caste system. So there's hardly any social mobility. You born and die in the same caste. So how it works according to this system is that traditionally castes are according to social descent. Different castes were thought to come from or descend from different parts of the body of the deity Vishnu, who you can see here on the left. These body parts were related to the position different groups held in society. So, for instance, the ruling class, who are called the Brahmin, you can see them right here in the blue. They were thought to come from Lord Vishnu's head, and so have all the power of thought and of thinking and of ruling. The lowliest class, sometimes called the untouchables, way down here at the bottom, were thought to come from Lord Vishnu's feet. Each of these groups was assigned separate duties and occupations related to parts of the body. So like the mouth, the arms, the thighs, etc. So a teacher, a soldier, a cattle herder, a lowly servant. These were associated with the body parts that came with them. So like the soldier would have been associated with the thighs, and so this might have been, I don't know how you say it, Vaishya. So according to tradition, the reason that everybody went along with this was that this system was in place traditionally for the sake of the prosperity of the world. The American South during slavery was also a caste system, completely rigid and closed. There's almost no, there was no social mobility. It was not possible to move into a different caste of, if you were a slave, it was not possible to move into a caste of a plantation owner. Each caste is assigned different rights and obligations and specific social norms. The traditional caste system of India is one of extreme inequality, but it is also what we think of as an ideal type. It's not quite as closed as this description, and it never was quite as completely closed as this description makes it sound. There is some mobility, and there's growing social mobility, and social change has always taken place in India. And the caste system has been officially repudiated in India. There is now more of a class-based system like we have in the United States, and we'll talk about in a minute. However, while caste has declined, it is very persistent, and some aspects of it remain today. The next system we'll talk about is the estate system. The estate system is a land-based system, so whoever owns the land are the dominant strata. Most agricultural societies are estate-type system. So the European system is what is pictured in the slide here. According to the European system, especially the English system, which is what we're looking at here, the landowners were called lords, and that's who you see. So in right here at the top is the king and the queen. Okay, down from there is a member of the nobility called the lord, or the lord and lady. They made up a very tiny fraction of the population, but almost all of Europe's productive land was owned by them. The rest of the population were called serfs. That's who you see down here at the bottom. And we don't have time to talk about the vassals right here, but they were mainly soldiers. So down here, what we have at the bottom were called serfs, and in the slide they are called peasants. And so the serfs made up almost all of the rest of the population. So the lord would have owned everything that you see pictured in the picture on the left. This is manor life. So the lord would have owned this castle or some large manor house, all of this land, the water down here, the mill, the church, all of the houses that the serfs and peasants lived in, all of the fields that they worked, everything that you see in that picture would have been owned by the lord. And then the lord would have offered protection to the serfs and land to work on in exchange for serving as soldiers when needed. And then a portion of the profits from whatever they earned from working the lord's fields would have gone to the lords, kind of like a tax. Marriage was almost completely within one's own rank, and people would not move up or down in the hierarchy. These inequalities were based on custom. So there was some small percentage of marriage between social strata here, but it was actually very little. Oh gosh, I have to talk quickly to get through social class. Okay, so social class is the most open type of system of stratification. That's what we have here in the United States. And so as you can see, we have, there's 4 main strata in the social class system. There's the upper class, the middle class, the working class, and then the lower class. The middle class is broken up into 2 sections, the upper middle and the lower middle class, and the working class is broken up into 2 sections, the working class and then the working poor. The working poor are working class people who are living below the poverty line. So the upper class makes up about 3 to 5% of the population, but own a vast majority of the nation's wealth, which I will show you in the next video. The middle class has less wealth and power than the upper class, but still have white-collar jobs or professional jobs. The upper middle class are professional people and business people who have high income and a lot of education. So doctors, corporate executives, a lot of corporate executives now are in the upper class. The lower middle class is a bigger class and more diverse. They're on a lower level, but still hold white-collar job. These are people who work in sales, elementary school teachers, college teachers like me. They have less income, sometimes less education, but are working on achieving the American dream. The biggest difference between the lower middle class and the working class is according to the work that they do. This video is about to end. I will see you on the next one. We will continue from here.